Well, hello again and welcome back. We are on session 8 of intentional living. And I think we just have one more session left. So, in that final session, I'll be teaching lesson 9 and 10. So that will be combined for our last session together. But today we're continuing the theme of significance, living intentionally to build a life of significance. And we're continuing the theme of how we do that with other people. So I think that we talked about this on our prior session, and that is that one is too small a number to achieve greatness. So as of the time of this recording, the Olympics are happening in Paris, France. And so we've watched a little bit of it here and there, various sports. Some sports I'd never even heard of, like handball, which if you haven't seen it, it looks like soccer, but it's played on a what looks like a basketball court, but instead of using their feet, they use their hands. It's a very interesting sport. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Even gymnastics, basketball, like all of the sports. And so far, there's only been one sport in the Olympic that I've seen that truly is a solo sport. Even in gymnastics, right? If you look at men's and women's gymnastics, you're on a team. In fact, the other night, they sort of replayed, if you will, the story of, I think her name is Carrie Struggs. Did I get that right? If I got that right, somebody give me a thumbs up. But Carrie apparently in one of her events broke her foot or her leg, some part of her leg. And so, of course, the doctors told her, you're out of this event. If she had pulled out, though, it would have caused a loss for her team. And so most of us remember this sort of triumphant moment when Carrie decided she was going to continue. And so I believe it was the vault. And so there she takes off running on a taped up broken leg. She flies through the air and sticks a landing on one leg. And she did that for her team. And of course, they contrast her with another girl. I think her name is Simone Giles or something like that, who I guess a few years ago pulled out in the middle of the Olympics because she had something called the twisties. And she was seen at the time to be someone who was not to be admired because she let her team down. So even in a sport like gymnastics, where people are all individually doing their own routine, they're still part of a team. The only sport I've seen so far in the Olympics that looks like a one person show is a sport. Please don't be offended if you like this sport, but it's a sport that I don't understand how it has any place in the Olympics, which are supposed to be the elite athletes from around the world, and that's ping pong. I don't really understand what is ping pong doing in the Olympics. I think ping pong is a game that you play when you're trying to take a break from studying for your college exams or on the weekends when you're drinking beer. I don't really know why is ping pong in the Olympics. But the point is that all of these sports, even when you've got an individual contestant, if you will, they are all part of a team. A team. So this session 8 is all about partnering with like valued people, like valued people. So we're going to talk about what that means. And so John Maxwell tells the story in the book, Intentional Living. He talks about his time at a large church in San Diego called Skyline Church and what he was able to do to grow that church to one of the largest churches in that particular denomination in the country. And that he had simultaneously knew that he wanted to help develop leaders in other industries, not just in the church world, but he started doing leadership conferences. And of course, initially they were geared towards pastors, but as time went on, leadership principles are universal. And so what he found was that people were coming from other industries. And he talks about his first leadership conference, which had a total of 14 people. 14 people signed up for this leadership conference. Now, there are thousands. We will usually have between 3,000 to 5,000 people live on site in Orlando twice a year for our International Maxwell Conference. But he started out with a conference that had 14 attendees. So he was at this Holiday Inn in Jackson, Mississippi, working with these 14 leaders, and he realized that he wanted to help people. They asked him, how can you continue to support us? This 1 or 2 day conference isn't enough. We need ongoing support. And so he says, I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I wanted to help. And I could tell that they wanted to make a difference. So he asked that question. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you felt compelled to do something, but you weren't sure how to make it happen? And he goes on to talk about what he decided to do was to make a monthly tape that he would send out. A tape, for those of you who aren't aware, is it's something that you can put into a machine and play it over and over again, but it's actually tape, whether it was 8-track or cassette, I'm not sure. But that he asked them all at that time, would they sign up for this list to pay for him to send them a tape each month? And he grew that list into more than 15,000 subscribers. So this would have been back in the 80s, back in the 80s. And so that would have been quite a feat at that time. And so the point is this: sometimes we're not sure what to do. We know we want to make a difference, doing something that makes a difference with people that want to make a difference at a time that makes a difference. We have that awareness, but we're not quite sure where to start. And so John's lesson to us is to just start where you are. And don't judge the fact that maybe what you're attempting to do right now doesn't seem like it's a lot, because you never know where it's going to go. And so think about that. Have you ever really wanted to make a difference in your business, in your family, in your community, in your church, but you weren't quite sure where to begin? And maybe the thing that you thought, well, it's too small. It's not going to really make a difference. And so you didn't do anything. The point is to do something, right? He says that the key to the next level is to go from me thinking to we thinking. And he said he realized that he had spent too much time living in me world and that he needed to be living in we world. So the law of the inner circle in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership says that a leader's potential is determined by those closest to him. That's the law of the inner circle. And so I'm going to challenge you for a moment to just think about, who are the people in your inner circle? Now, you're going to have some of those people in your inner circle in your business. And those would be people that are on your team. Those would be people that you've surrounded yourself with that help you to support your team. If you're in business for yourself, these could be other professionals, other vendors that help you to support your business. If you are working for a company, these could be the people that are on your team, or maybe in a different department, but people that you rely on or that you confide in as part of your inner circle. So the law of the inner circle says that our potential is determined by the people that are closest to us. And so your parents may have said it. I know my mother said that, we're known by the company we keep. You may have also heard the birds of a feather flock together. And so when you were a kid, if you were hanging out with bad news, your parents were probably not too happy about that. Why? Because they understood that if you were hanging out with bad news, there's a good chance that you were going to end up doing the things that bad news kids do. And so nothing really changes as adults. And so we want to do the combination work of sort of reflecting on who is currently in our inner circle. What are their values? What are their qualities? What are their characteristics? We've been on this theme for a few sessions. Why? Because it's important. If we're going to live intentionally, we have to do it in community. And we have to find people that we can have around us that are going in the same direction we're going, that have some of the same values that we have. And so in the chapter on partnering with like-valued people, John talks about the power of partnership. And he said, here's the most important thing to know about partnership and alliances. To be effective, they must be made with like-minded, but more important, like-valued people. If you aren't connecting and partnering with people who share your dreams and values, you have no shot at making these partnerships work. And so I would ask you to pause for a moment and just reflect on who are the people that are in your inner circle. Let's stay with work for a moment. Who are the people that you are working most closely with in your day-to-day operation? Are the people on your team, and look, maybe you're the leader of the team, or maybe you are one of the team, but are those people high quality, high value oriented people? Can you tell what they value? Do you have any clue what they value? Here's a hint. You can see by the choices they make. The choices that we make reflect what it is that we value, right? The choices that we make reflect what it is that we value. And so I would ask you to think carefully about the people that you are most closely partnered with during your workday. Do you know that these people have your back? Do you have their back? If integrity is a high value for you, are they people of integrity? Do they do the right thing, or are they willing to cut corners or cheat to get ahead? Do you do the right thing, or are you willing to cut corners to get what you want? If you value honesty, are these people that are willing to tell the truth with love, but no matter how difficult it is to hear? Right? I think that we all truly want someone who's willing to tell us the truth, even when it hurts. Are you someone who's willing to tell the truth, even when it hurts? So, what are the things that you value? Honesty, integrity, loyalty, love, care, success, excellence, education. What are your values? We talked about this way back in the beginning of our time together to understand what are our top values. So I've shared some of mine before. Impact is my number one value when it comes to my work. So anybody that I would consider partnering with to support my clients or to support me or even to coach, they have to be someone who also values making an impact in the world. There's a reason I'm not part of certain organizations, and it's because I don't believe that they have impact as one of their highest values. Growth is one of my highest values. I don't want to partner with someone who doesn't also want to grow, but wants to keep doing the same thing the same way, no matter what. So industries change, markets change, companies change. I want to partner with people who want to grow and learn how to do the same thing in a new way. Curiosity is one of my top values in work. I want to work with people who are still curious. They don't necessarily think they have all the answers, but are willing to have a beginner's mind about certain topics so that they can continue to grow, develop, and be curious and to make that impact. So think about the people in your inner circle. Do they have some of the same values as you do? And if you think that you don't know, look at how they spend their time and look at how they spend their money and look at the people that they are associated with, and you'll probably be able to tell. All right. So John talks about when we leave the me world and we move into the we world and we partner with people, we tap into something that we've never had access to before, and that is their knowledge, experience, influence, and potential. And that's part of why we want to partner with high value people. Because then when we tap into their knowledge, their experience, their influence, and potential, we've got a place we can go. And we can go there together. So the two become greater than the sum of their parts. Most of us have been working at some level, even through the times of the pandemic. And back in 2020, 2021, and even into 2022, a lot of companies closed down their offices and sent people home to work remotely. Some companies are still doing that. Some companies have always done that. But many, many companies are now going back to an in-office model or at the very least, a hybrid model where maybe the staff is working from home a couple of days a week, but they're in office a couple of days a week. Now, why is that important? It's incredibly important because the junior team members need to collaborate with the senior team members. They need to learn not just what to do or how to do it, but they need to learn how to handle problems. They need to learn how to think on their feet. They need to be able to collaborate and see the example of the senior staff members so that they can truly fast forward their own growth trajectory. Now, why do the senior leaders need to collaborate in person with the junior leaders? Well, because they have to be kept on their toes. They have to rethink things. They have to consider things from a different perspective. And when a junior staff person or team member comes along, they're going to ask questions. And maybe, just maybe, some of the senior people on the team have been doing the same thing the same way for so long that they don't even question whether it's the most effective or efficient, or they've lost sight of why they're doing it. So when a junior person comes along and says, hey, help me understand what you're doing there, then it can cause the senior leader or the senior team member to really think more deeply into what they do and decide if there is a more effective, efficient way. And so we need these two groups of people to be interacting at a closer level than just over the telephone or via Zoom. So that's why you're going to see more and more companies go back to a hybrid or an in-office model. And that's because we need to partner with each other. And you guys know this. We're doing this on Zoom right now. I have some people that are here without their cameras on. I have no idea what they're doing. Maybe you're watching this at a later date. I have no idea how much attention you're paying to this. Only you know the answer to that. But if we were truly together in a classroom, let's say, or in a conference room, then I would be able to interact with each of you individually. You would be able to ask questions. Maybe someone asks a question that sparks something else in someone else, and it's a completely different experience than a more passive consumer-based education, which is what we're doing right now. I think there's room for both. But I, for one, am looking forward to getting back in the classroom more consistently with people who want to take their leadership to the next level, who want to take their ability to sell to the next level, who want to take their strategies and systems and processes to the next level, and most importantly, who want to take their personal growth and development to the next level. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm going to be doing more of that in the months to come, because I think it's a great way to ensure that I'm partnering with like-minded and like-valued people. So when you find the right partners, it can make a huge difference. And so John encourages people to sort of hedge themselves, if you will, by about 10%. As he says, we often overestimate what our abilities are. And he tells the story. I don't know anything about golf, so I'm not even going to try to tell his golf story, but he talks about when a player steps onto the tee, they tend to inaccurately estimate their handicap. And so they also inaccurately estimate their shot. So he gives the example of choosing a club for a particular shot. And he says that they will often choose the club that in the optimal setting would be the right club to hit the ball for that particular shot. But that since most people overestimate their ability to hit the ball, then they tend to come up short. So he says he always dials his back by 10% and chooses a club for a shorter shot so that he can actually be successful. And so he says too often our choices are made by what we could do or what we think we should do rather than what we usually do. So it's not about underestimating what we can do. It's about accurately estimating what we can do. And so too many people give up because they don't achieve what they maybe once achieved or what they think they could or should achieve. Instead of being more accurate about the way that we estimate, we want to be realistic. And so same thing when we're partnering with other people. We want to be realistic about who they are and what they can bring to the table. So he said that there are a number of ways that people can understand if they've found the right people and what difference partnering with the right people can make. And so there are 12 of these. So I'll run through these quickly here for us. And the first one is, like valued people think of others before themselves. So he says that people who are humble don't think less of themselves. They just think of themselves less. Like that's the difference. And he says maturity isn't getting older and it isn't getting wiser. It's developing the ability to see things from another person's point of view. So when you combine humility with maturity, you get an ideal person, right? He says that I'm drawn to people who understand that with one tiny exception, the world is composed of others. And so we want to think of the people that we're partnering with. Are they humble? And it doesn't mean that they walk around and they're self-effacing and they don't own their successes, but they're willing to think more of other people than they think of themselves, or think first of other people than before they think of themselves. And do they have the ability to see things from other people's point of view? You guys know that right now we're in a situation where many people in the United States have parked themselves in one or another camp. And they believe that their way is the right way. And in many cases, it's the only way. And look, I do believe that at some point you have to take a stand for something. As the saying goes, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I do believe that. But where I think we've gone wrong is that we're now unable to even hear the other person's perspective. In fact, we refuse to hear it. And so we kind of walk around with our fingers in our ears saying, la, 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 I can't hear you. Instead of listening to understand, not to necessarily change our mind, but to at least understand their viewpoint. And so a like-valued person, a high-minded person, is actually able to see, hear, and understand another person's point of view, even if they don't agree with it. So if you find yourself parked into one or another camp in any situation, it could be in business, it could be in your family life, how to raise your kids, it could be in finances, it could be in politics, whatever it might be, just ask yourself, am I willing to at least understand the other person's perspective? I may not agree with it, but am I willing to even hear it? And are the people I'm surrounding myself with, are they those kinds of people as well? I think we all have some room to improve in that perspective. Number 2 says, like valued people think bigger than themselves. They think bigger than just themselves. If you've ever been, and look, we've all been guilty of it. We are driven to want to be successful in whatever it is that we do. But at some point, if you've ever met or you've ever been the person that only cares about your own success and the success of other people around you doesn't seem to matter, then you know that at some point that's not fulfilling or satisfying. And so we want to surround ourselves with and become people who think about the impact we can have in the world. It's not just about our own success. It's about how can we help other people succeed? How much are we willing to serve our customer, whether they're internal or external, our families, in our community, in our churches, in our schools, on our playgrounds? Are we willing to step up and serve the greater good? Number 3, like valued people have a passion that's contagious. And so we want to be around people and we want to be people who are so energized and who are so inspiring and who are people of such high action and passion that it's contagious. These are people that to know them is to want to be around them. These are the kinds of people we want to become and the kinds of people we want to surround ourselves with. So think about your inner circle. Are these people that have a passion for life, right? Are they high-spirited, high energy, high value? Do people want to be around them? Do you want to be around them? Number 4 says, like valued people have complementary gifts, right? I can't do what you do. You can't do what I do, but together we can do that much more. So no one's the total package. There's a saying in real estate that Gary Keller often says, and he says, none of you is God's gift to real estate. None of you. I had a client last week who was explaining to me They were going on vacation about what would happen in various scenarios if any one of their particular customers needed help and who could possibly help them. And they were considering driving 3 hours. They were going down to one part of their state. They were considering, well, if I got an offer or I got a showing on this particular $3.8 million listing, that I would drive back home to show this house if if they got a showing request. And I said, wow, I did not realize you're God's gift to real estate. And they were like, I am. I think that I am. And so, no, none of you are God's gift to whatever it is your field is. But if you put the right group of people, you can create the total package. That's why we want to make sure that we're with like valued people, because together our gifts complement each other and we can create the total package, right? Even in John Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, he said in writing the book, it became apparent that no one is going to excel at all 21 laws. But if you find the people that excel at various laws and you put them together and form a team, now you've got a winning team in the total package. So look for people that have a skill set you don't have, that have a gift you don't have, and partner with them, see what you can do. Number 5 says, like valued people connect and provide great support. So people need to connect and you need to support each other. Think about the people on your team right now. Do you support each other? Do you have each other's back? That's super important. Number 6, like valued people show a can-do, creative spirit about challenges, right? We all have challenges. We talked about this before. The only person without problems is dead. Problems are a sign of life. What we want is high quality problems. My son-in-law, who runs large real estate investment funds, told me that yesterday he got a referral from a guy who's just has some restricted stock that that is valued at $60 million. And his biggest problem right now is he's not quite sure where to put that. Where do I put my $60 million that I'm going to have when I sell this stock? Like, that's a high quality problem. Where are you going to invest $60 million? That's what each of us wants. But we want to surround ourselves with people who are creative when it comes to challenges. So he says that there's I can't people. They're convinced that they can't. So guess what? They won't. They won't. There's I don't think I can people. These people have not enough confidence and faith in themselves. And so they tend to talk themselves out of solving problems. Then there are can I people. I don't know if I can, or can I? And so that's a level up necessarily, but generally they're not going to get the job done. The people he says we want to surround ourselves with when it comes to solving problems are how can I people. How can I do this? So they've already made the decision that they're going to tackle it. They just don't know how yet. That's a high valued person, because when we understand that everything is possible and we understand that we surround ourselves with people who can support us and that we can partner with, we're going to solve high quality problems. And let's face it, in the world of economics, the people who solve the biggest problems make the most money. So if you'd like to increase your level of economic success, learn to solve bigger problems. I work with a lot of real estate agents. The ones that make the most money are the best at solving people's problems. A real estate transaction is a very complex, integrated process where hundreds of thousands of dollars are on the line, and it's people's largest financial transaction. Not the guy with the 60 million. He's got a larger financial transaction. But for most people, especially in America, the most money they'll ever spend on anything is their home. And so a realtor that can help solve the problem of selling their home or helping them buy a new home is going to make the most money. That's just a fact. Same thing in most companies. It's the people who are the best at solving big problems that are the most rewarded in their company. Okay, so we want to have that how can I attitude about problems. Number 7, like valued people expand our influence. There's only so much we can do by ourselves. When we partner up with other people, we take that out and have a greater influence on the larger community. So, the time and energy you spend networking is time well spent. Good networking is really hard. So if you've ever been to like an after hours business networking event, that's not networking, that's drinking. But what I'm talking about is true networking, where you really have to step outside of yourself, meet people, ask them lots of questions and get to know them. That's how you're going to find partners who can help you expand your influence. I teach in some of my classes, I teach networking and how to do that. And I give participants a list of questions that are much better to use at a networking event than let's go get another drink and exchange business cards. That's not networking. So if you're going to network to build your business, please understand there's a better way to do it. But it is a great way, if you do it right, to find people who can help you expand your influence. All right, number 8, like-valued people are active. They're active. Valued people say ready, fire, aim. Right? Have you ever met someone, or have you yourself been the person who spent so much time getting ready and aiming that they never fired? It's almost better to take a shot and then try to clean it up after, not with a real gun, but in life, take a shot and then you can perfect your aim. So active people don't merely accept their lives as they are, they lead their lives. They live their lives 100%. So nothing less is good enough for them. So we want to be partnering up with people who are people of action, people who take action. All right, number 9, like-valued people are ladder builders, not ladder climbers. So he gives a quote in the book from a friend of his, Sam Shand, who's a speaker and consultant, who says, "We all start out life climbing our own ladders and living for ourselves. Over time, some people begin to shift from climbing to their own success, and they start building ladders for others to climb." So where in your life are you a ladder builder versus just a ladder climber? Now, you may find yourself still in the phase of your career where you feel like you have to continue to climb the ladder to get to the top and find success on your terms. But I want you to be thinking about the future when you can realize that, truthfully, the best way for you to succeed is to help build ladders that other people can climb with you, and together you will all achieve more. All right, number 10, like-valued people are head and shoulders above the crowd. He says they take action when others won't. They add value to others every day, and their growth as human beings is dramatic as a result of intentionally making a difference in the lives of others. So right now, depending on what industry you're in, your industry may be seeing some challenges. At the time of this recording, we are in the middle of a pretty dramatically changed economy. I don't know how anybody's denying the fact that inflation is sky high, interest rates are sky high, people are losing jobs. We're not in a good place right now in this country as of the time of this recording, and we need something to change. We need something to change. And so depending on your industry, a lot of people may just be holding back, waiting for things to change. Right? What was that song, Waiting on the World to Change? There's a lot of people who are waiting on the world to change. They're not making decisions. They're not taking action. I'm sorry, but I don't care what's going on out there. We need to be people that take action, even when other people won't. People that will add value to others regardless of what's going on out there. So if you find that your company's cutting back or you yourself are cutting back, just think, how can I take action despite the fact that I may need to manage my expenses more carefully? But how can I ensure that I'm adding value to others? I'm not taking those things away. I'm not taking those touches away that I do for my clients that help them have a better experience with me. Doesn't matter what's going on out there in the market. I got to be willing to add value and take action. Number 11, like-valued people provide synergy that gives a high return. And so he talks about in the book that when you partner with the right person, 1 + 1 = 3, right? So he talks about horses. Now, this is something I didn't know. I didn't know this fact, but he says 2 horses can pull about 9,000 pounds together. So how many pounds can 4 horses pull? So you would assume that if 2 horses can pull 9,000, that 4 horses could pull 18,000. But that is incorrect. 4 horses can actually pull over 30,000 pounds. Why is that? Why is it that 2 can pull 19, but I'm sorry, 2 can pull 9, but 4 can pull 30? And that's because of synergy. It makes the sum greater than its parts. And so he says it comes from the Greek word synergia, which means working together. So, he gives other examples. You can't play the violin with one hand. With one hand, you're not going to make very much music, but with 2 hands, you could become a virtuoso. Okay, so he says when it comes to partnership, synergy enables the group to outperform even its best individual members. I'm going to go back to the Olympics for an example. You've got some pretty amazing solo, or if you will, superstars on any given team. And so that's probably the case in most sports. Now, again, because I'm not a sports person, I'll only mess it up. But I could think about Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, some of these people that we know as big names. And those were people that were touted as the best of the best. And yet those were people that also said it's the team that is making this happen, not just one person. So even though you may have a superstar on your team, hell, you may be a superstar on your team. By creating the right team and partnering with the right people, you can create success that's beyond even more than what you yourself could do as the superstar of that team. So when a team works together towards a common goal, they create that synergy that does what horsepower does, right? It multiplies. If each person on the team is individually working towards their own goals, it's not going to happen. So I could take the example of a small boutique real estate brokerage, for example. Each person certainly is going to have their own goals, and they should be working towards their goals. However, you could combine the energy, the strength, the know-how of everybody that's with that brokerage, and you could see the success of that brokerage far succeed anything that any of those people could do individually. And so that works even in a business model where people are in business for themselves. They can still see themselves as a team and combine their energy. How do they do that? Well, they share their secrets of success. They share tips and tricks that they've learned along the way. They share their systems. They don't hoard that information. Many years ago, I myself was a real estate agent, and the company, the brokerage that I first partnered with was one where it was not valued to share your know-how. What was valued was for you to keep all your secrets to yourself, lest anyone else steal them and become more successful than you. And so I did not last very long with that company, because even though I didn't know anything about real estate, what I knew about success was together, everyone achieves more, right? I wanted to be part of a team. And so I left and went to a company where I felt that that was more possible. And my own success skyrocketed, and I was able to help other people in the organization, and they were able to help me. And so we did achieve more as a brokerage. So even in that kind of a business model, partnering with the right people can create a synergy that gives you better results than if you were just working on your own. So hopefully the team that you're with, whether you're with a corporation, a small business, or whether you're a solopreneur, whatever that is, the people that you're surrounding yourself with can help you achieve more, and you can help them achieve more. And lastly, like-valued people make a difference in us. And so John talks about some of the work that he did as he began to partner. I told you guys a few sessions ago about the cards that he gave out with his dream on it. And he asked people one question: if this sounds like something you're interested in, let me know. And then he began to partner with those people. And so he realized that as he did that, he actually began to grow. So he says a solid partnership comes together because two people have something to offer each other, and what they give and receive are equally valued. So partnering with the right people can put you in a situation where you actually grow as a result of that. So we've got to find common ground and common goals. And when we do that, and when we partner with those people, we go from having a relational experience to an inspirational experience. And so he says, whatever your passion is, think about how your effectiveness could be multiplied if you start connecting and partnering with the right people. So this is about multiplying our effect. So I want you to think for a moment, because this is going to be part of what I'm going to ask you to do for homework this week, is to really just do an assessment of the people in your inner circle. Who are they? Who are you in that circle? And I know we've talked about this. You can't necessarily erase people from your life. I mean, sometimes they're in your family. Sometimes you're married to them. But you can build an inner circle of your own choosing. And you can become intentional about who are the people that you're willing to share your dreams with. They support your dreams. They don't poo-poo your dreams. Who are the people that you're willing to go ask advice of? They got to be people that are ahead of you. Or maybe they just do something that's so completely different that you can see what it is that they might offer that you don't currently have. And it has to be a two-way street. You're going to give, and as a result, you will receive. You're not going to receive, right? So I want you to really think about that, because all of us need to do a better job. On our last session, I asked you to connect with 3 people. And I hope that you did that. And I hope that you learned something. Maybe one of those 3 people is somebody that you need to consider partnering with, at least when it comes to doing something. Maybe it's just a passion project. Maybe it's not a career project. Maybe it's a community project. Whatever it is, can you find a way to partner with the right people? He also talks about in the book that he got to the point when he had built this church for 14 years into one of the largest churches in the country. It was in San Diego. And he realized that if he wanted to do even more, that he would have to step outside of his comfort zone, right? He had worked really hard to build this church, but he was getting comfortable, and he would have to give something up so that he could go up. And so this is the greater than concept. We got to give up something now in order to achieve something greater tomorrow. Okay. And so when you make a big life altering decision, there's going to be a trade off. That's the law of the trade off. And so what are you willing to trade now for tomorrow? We've talked about that. So I want you to go back and really think about that. That's in your participant package, which is in the Mighty Network that hopefully you've downloaded. Go and look at some of those trade-offs and decide, what do you need to trade off now for the possibility of something in the future, right? And so that's what I want you to think about. So where do you need to make that trade-off? Where do you need to find different people to partner with? What is something that's on your heart right now that you know you need to be doing, and you just haven't done it because either you don't know where to start or you don't know who can help you? And really think about that, because I believe that when you ask the question, you're going to receive the answer. This has happened to me very recently. I knew I wanted to make a difference in my church, and my passion is teaching. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to show up or what that was going to look like. And so rather than waiting for someone to see, or rather than passively saying something like, boy, it would sure be great to add value here and teach a class, I just told the people who are capable of making those decisions that I was doing the training right now to be able to become a leader in teaching, very specifically teaching the Bible. So for me, I have a degree in religious education and ministry that I've never really done anything with. And so it's like, it's time for me to do that. And I said, I'm taking all of the training I can take right now to become qualified to do that. And I'm letting you know that that's what I'm doing. And I'm letting you know that that's what I want to do. And sure enough, a week ago, I got the call. We want you to teach a class. And so I'm working with the staff to sort of put that together. So that will start in the fall. So I'm giving up something now. That's a lot of free time because I'm studying my rump off here. And I was willing to partner with the right people and to go out of my way to let them know this is something that I wanted to do. Now I have no idea where that's going to go. That's not in my control at this point. I put it out there. I'm taking steps. So what is it? Something that you know you need to do. It's the right thing to do. You've been gifted with the ability to do it. You may not know exactly how it will play out, but there's probably something that's on your heart right now. I don't know if it's supporting some aspect of your community. I don't know if it's a charitable activity. I don't know if it's partnering with your kids' school or your local church or community or, the local athletic department. I don't know what it is, but there's probably something on your heart that you'd like to make a difference doing and you don't quite know where to start. And I'm telling you, everyone starts small. Everyone starts small. John Maxwell, I told you, had 14 people. In fact, when we first started this intentional living journey, I talked to you about his first church, which had 3 people. Or was it 11 people? But he grew it to over 300 people and then beyond that in a town that was smaller than that. So people were coming from other towns. And now he runs one of the largest coaching organizations in the world, and he equips leaders. At this point, we've equipped, I don't know, it's some like 10 million leaders around the world. And he started very small. He just took that first step. So I don't need to be in control of where this is going for me, and you don't need to be in control of where it's going for you. You need to be willing to take the first step and find your first partner. So if you have a vision of significance that promises to help other people and you partner with others who share the same vision, there's no limit to what can be done. Brian Tracy, some of you know Brian Tracy. I've talked about him before. A couple of great books he's written. One of them is called Eat That Frog, which is one of his, probably his best sellers. He wrote, "You are a living magnet. You are invariably attracting to your life people and situations that are in harmony with your dominant thoughts." Right? That is the fact. People who seem to have a negative attitude seem to always attract negativity. They attract negative people. So if you know someone who has a lot of family drama and they like to talk about it all the time, and you look at everybody in their family has a lot of drama, and then you look at their friends, they tend to be also the same. Maybe you need to ask yourself, why are you their friend? But you know those people. The sky is always falling. It's always going to rain on their parade. Something's always wrong. Tony Robbins says what's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. So what are we looking for? We are a living magnet, and we're attracting to ourselves people and circumstances that are in harmony with our dominant thoughts. So we need to remember that birds of a feather flock together, which is why it's so important that we continue to ask the question, like, who are the people I'm surrounding myself with? And if they're people you can't erase out of your life because they're in your family, how much time are you spending with them? Are you still trying to change them, which only makes you more frustrated? Instead of letting them be, and then you continue to grow and live your best life and watch them look at you, and maybe, just maybe at some point, they see you as an example. But birds of a feather do flock together. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John Maxwell talks about the law of magnetism that says that who you are is who you attract. Who you are is who you attract. Okay? So, when you live with intentional significance, your inclusion of other people also has to be intentional. So we've got to spend some time really thinking as we kind of wrap this journey of intentional living up on our next session. Are we really ready to become active partners with other people? People who have complementary skills, people who have high values, have a high mindset, who are positive, who are passionate, and who also want to make a difference. Are we really ready to do that? And if we're not, what has to change? So I want you to really think about this week. If you are truly ready to become a partner, if you're truly ready to take whatever it is to the next level, whether it's your business, your finances, your health, your family, your spirituality, whatever it is, if you're really ready to take your life to the next level, are you being intentional about who you're spending your time with? Are you being intentional about minding your mindset? So we have to be willing to commit. We have to be willing to compromise. We have to be willing to sacrifice, and we have to be willing to connect with others. John Maxwell says that everything worthwhile is uphill, right? But when we partner with the right people, we give, but we also receive. And then we are with people that becomes a reciprocal relationship that compounds. So for this week for homework, I really want you to think more about yourself and who you're spending your time with. I want you to think about, if you're not currently partnered with enough of the right people, how can you find those people? Because it truly is time. And look, maybe you're in a business where you're thinking, I'm not ready to build a team, meaning I'm not ready to become a leader and hire people to work for me. That's not what I'm talking about at all. That may be part of your journey, but even if it's not, who are the people that you've partnered with as colleagues, as external support, as internal support, whatever it might be? And if you work for a company, are the people on your team that you're allowing into your inner circle, are they high valued people? If not, you got to go find them. Maybe they're in your company in another department, or maybe they're in another industry, another company altogether. But you've got to be building those partnerships that are going to take you to the next level. So that's your homework. It's a lot of self-reflection this week.